Okay, so we're going to start the Montclair City Council meeting. So welcome to the City Council of Montclair. And as we begin, we'll begin with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask the city clerk to announce those two individuals.
Invocation will be given by Father Remy from Our Lady of Lourdes Church, and the pledge will be led by Councilmember Rue.
Please stand. Father Remy, I know Father Remy. He doesn't dress, you don't dress differently. Father Remy is my new associate pastor at Our Lady of Lourdes Church. He came from Barstow. He's originally from Nigeria. Father, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me to be the leader of this prayer service. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. My dear brothers and sisters, let us listen to a little short reading from the book of Kings, chapter 3. In those days at Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream and asked him, "Ask what I shall give you." And Solomon said, "Give your servant therefore an understanding, wisdom to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this great people?" And God was pleased with him. My dear friends, the mayor, the police chief, fire department manager, the city manager, all the council members, my dear brothers and sisters, you are here as servants of the people of this great city. Always seek the wisdom of God in your decisions. For all we do in this life, we are all servants. Among you, let there be respect, understanding, and concord as servants of the people of God. Let all you do be a ministry of service. Remember, we shall all stand before God at the end of our earthly journey. He will reward all of us according to our deeds. Thank you for listening, and let us pray. Holy God, Father, thank you for the many blessings that this city of Montclair has. I pray for those who are in the offices that govern this local community, that they may make wise and godly decisions, which are always the interests of the people of this great city. I'm glad that we have the freedom to speak up and vote for those who lead us wisely and care for our values. Even if they differ, O Lord, be their protector. Also bless the fire law enforcement agency here. Please protect them in their line of duty so that they may protect us and they themselves being protected because they serve you. God, please protect the fire department and all of us together serving you in one another. At the end of our journey, we all receive the word in eternal glory. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we are servants of the people. You're right.
Thank you.
Please proceed with the pledge. Who's doing the pledge? Bill.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I have roll call, please?
Councilmember Lopez,
I'm here.
Councilmember Martinez. Here. Councilmember Rue,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Dutre.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next time is presentations, and we have a presentation from Sun California Edison, and this is regarding the wildfire mitigation efforts. And who is here from Edison? Come on up. Don't be shy. And welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Thank you so much for having me this evening. And my name is Melissa Boyd. I'm the Government Relations Manager for Southern California, Edison. And we just wanted to come tonight to present some of the wildfire mitigation efforts that we've been doing in the region, specifically some of the grid hardening efforts that you may have been hearing about that we are doing again to protect our residents, our equipment, and our residents' homes as well in the area. Get my clicker here. So this is a little hard to see, but we do have a number of ways that we are working on mitigating wildfire in our communities. We have some grid hardening efforts which involve increasing our covered conductor overhead. If you're not familiar with the covered conductor, that is extra insulation that goes around our wires. On our website is actually pretty incredible to see the difference between putting any type of tree fronds or anything that comes in contact with our wires and then looking at it with the covered conductor, and it is completely insulated. So that is one of the many things that we're doing. We're also doing some undergrounding of our lines when it's feasible, and we also do vegetation management. That involves taking back some of the growth that we have experienced, especially because of the rain that we all had in the winter months. So we are pulling some of our crews out there to not only take care of the growth or overgrowth from weeds and different grass areas, but also trees. That's a huge priority for us. So we do want to make sure that residents notify SCE if you do see any lines that may be coming in contact with some vegetation. Like I said, we've had a lot of growth over the winter, so please let us know so that we can take care of that as well. But we regularly inspect our properties and the parcels that we have in near our lines to make sure that it is always taken care of. This is just some statistics to show in the community the improvement that we've made from 2021. If you haven't heard of it before, power safety shutdowns, as PSPS, those have been significantly reduced, about 40% in our region-wide territory. We have had a number of the customers that have had to be de-energized because of a wildfire or a public safety power shutdown, reduced to almost 63% less than 2021. And you can also see the number of minutes of interruption has significantly gone down since 2021 because of these grid hardening efforts that we're making. As I mentioned, this is a picture of what covered conductor looks like. It's estimated to be about 70% effective in mitigating any type of ignition risk. Something that we're also doing is we're constantly inspecting our equipment. We're making sure that we're having regular maintenance, repairs, and replacement for things that may look like a down line, or if there is a pole that looks like it might be deteriorating. We try to stay on top of all of those repairs, and we do regular inspections as well. I already mentioned the hazardous tree removal. So that is something that we're working towards as well. More than 700,000 are located in high fire risk areas. So we're actively making sure that those trees are in a certain, are not within a certain proximity of our lines. We also are installing weather stations. This is a big effort on our part to install 1,800 weather stations by 2025. This gives us not only better forecasting for future high winds or areas that may be more susceptible to the high fire. I know Montclair is not something that is always on the radar for high fire risk, but it does affect the region. And so we wanted to make sure that Montclair knew that we are looking as a whole as the region to take care of this. the situation as well. We will do what I mentioned, public safety power shutoffs. There's multiple ways to notify our communities. If you sign up online with your account, you can get notified via text message and email as well. That way we can give you the most current information. And this applies to outages as well. If you are wanting to know what is going on in your community, you can sign up for notification for your specific address, and you enter in your information, and it will, and your account number, and then you will be notified if there is anything affecting you in the future. We also partner with our local fire agencies. So all jurisdictions in Southern California Edison can request our support. We have aerial firefighting assets, heli tankers that are able to detect things even at night. So that's really important for us to make sure that we are catching that early when even the smallest spark is seen. And we also know that there are many folks in our communities that have access and functional needs. So we want to make sure that we connect them with 211. If you're not familiar with 211, it's a great resource for many public service programs and agencies to connect the residents with. But we also want to make sure that we, in the event of emergency, we provide a community crew vehicle. We'll come and we'll bring things like water and place for you to charge your phone in the event something catastrophic like that does happen. We all keep hearing about the earthquake that's going to come, so this would be a situation that might happen. And our medical baseline customers are really important to us. We want to stress that if we have any customers that are reliant on electrical equipment, that you make sure and reach out to SCE and you let us know so that when there is going to be an outage or a public safety power shutdown, that we can reach you quickly and we can let you know. And also in many cases, if you're reliant, like I said, on some type of electrical equipment, we can give you a small backup generator battery so that to make sure that you never are without power if you're reliant on that information. So it's important that you let us know. Again, I mentioned this already before, kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but we partner with 211, our critical care backup battery, and you can also get rebates on portable batteries in high fire risk areas. So on marketplace.sce.com, you can see a lot of different rebates that are available to residents there. And part of our services that we'll bring when we bring community service resources, we do have translation services for over 120 languages. So if somebody arrives that does not have English as their primary language, we can still communicate them with the resources they need. This, again, I can provide this to the council later, but these are the many links that we have to our services involving preparedness, being prepared for in the event of emergency, the different programs and rebates that we have. We have, like I mentioned, the critical care backup program link, the medical baseline program. We also have our general customer support and other programs and resources like CARE and FARA that provide discounted rates to our residents. So I will be sure to have a copy of this for the mayor and all of the city council. So you can feel free to do if you would like to give it to your residents when they contact the city looking for this information. And these are also numbers that they can call. So the main number there, the 800 number, that's our customer service line. And then the 800-611-1911 number is for any concerns regarding outages. So if you have any questions, we do want to make sure that you report an outage if it isn't already on our outage website, that it is something that you let us know about right away so we can get our crews over there and take care of it. And if you are interested, if you follow social media, we are on all the social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Nextdoor. We encourage you to follow those as well, just for up-to-date information. So thank you so much for having me this evening, and we look forward to helping the community to be prepared in the event of any type of disaster.
Well, Gordon, thank you very much, and it's nice to know that the number of disruptions is reduced in 1 year, and Addison's doing a lot out there to help that out. And as you know, that the community is becoming more reliant on electricity as we move forward the future, and this whole idea of trying to be more green. And so, thank you very much, and that's it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, next item is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public that wish to speak to the city council. You have 5 minutes. You can speak to the city council on any item that's not on the agenda, or if there is an item on the business items, consent calendar. This would be a good time you can speak or at least announce. One of the items we're going to move out of the consent calendar for the side conversation will be the item B2, which is the police bonus proposal on the consent calendar. So B2, we'll make that a separate, if someone wants to speak on that, which I believe there is somebody. Nevertheless, yeah, you can speak to the council. You have 5 minutes. If you're in the audience, you'll fill out the speaker request card. If you're online, you can initiate your raise hand on Zoom. If you're on the phone, you hit *9 if you wish to speak. So I'm going to ask the city clerk if she's got any speakers.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Ruby Long from the Office of Supervisor Kurt Hagman, and she's on Zoom.
Hello, Ruby.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Once again, Ruby Long from County Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office. And I just had a couple of announcements to make. The first one is that this Wednesday, August 9th, Land Use Services Department is going to be hosting an open house in Chino Hills. It's going to be held at the Chino Hills Branch Library, which is, the address is 14020 City Center Drive, Chino Hills 91709. And the Land Use Service Department is going to have representatives there that will be able to answer your questions, whether it be building permits, plan check, inspections, development questions, zoning questions, code enforcement, any type of questions that you might have for them. So once again, that is this Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. And then also one to put on your calendar, this is for next month, is our famous shredding event. We're going to be having one on, let's see, September 30th. It's going to be in Upland this time. So this time we'll be having it at the Memorial Park in Upland. That is from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It is free. Once again, we do ask that you limit to 3 boxes per vehicle. And once again, that's for September 30th at the Memorial Park. And that's all for this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruby.
Have a good evening.
All right, what do we have next?
Okay, our next speaker is Joanna Lubman.
Joanna Lumen, you said?
Yes, Lubman.
Oh, there.
This is Joanna Lubman. I don't know if she's here.
Oh, Lindhorst.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not on your card yet.
That's okay. It's been pronounced wrong all the time.
Oh,
Anyway, Mayor Dutry
Oh,
and
how you
council
doing?
members, this is not a complaint. I'm here to thank you all for such a quick manner in which our complaint was handled the last time we were here. 2 days later, a Mr. Goodrich from the code enforcement came out to the house, and my husband took him out to the backyard so he could look over and see what is going on in the backyard. And as I said, some of the weeds had been cut down to begin with. Now they're all down, so I'm not worried about that. But Mr. Goodrich told us, informed us of what he and the department could and couldn't do legally. And he informed us what we could do or not do legally as well. It was very informative, and we appreciated it very much. I just want to again thank you.
Well, thank you. This time you're smiling, so that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm gonna assume that this comment card that came in from the website, that person's not here, so I'll just move on to the next one. All right, so next is Bill Kaufman.
Bill Kaufman, there he is.
Mayor, City Council.
Hello.
It's me again. And I'll be very brief. To tell you the truth, I'm just getting a little frustrated on direction here, and that's something that I'd like to have someone reach out to me and give me that direction. But I went through your 2017 ordinance that banned commercial cannabis through the city and understand it. But I also see that the vote of the people said yes to commercial cannabis in your town and also to the taxation thereof. And my understanding is that the vote of the people would trump the ordinance, and the ordinance should be modified to some degree to reflect what the people voted. That's not up to me to do. I just wanted to reiterate that we came to Montclair, spent a lot of time and effort looking at the city and looking at locations, and what we think found the best location we could ever find to put a commercial dispensary in, absolutely child-proof, away from any sensitive zones, and found a landlord that was very open to us having the second floor of that building, knowing full well he'll get a lot of business from us as well. One of the things that sort of bothered me is the landlord said they were communicated that they were illegally entering into an agreement or a lease for a space that was going to be used for commercial cannabis. I don't know how that was manifested, but they were absolutely told that. And we've spent a terrible amount of time in trying to comply with what the city wants and to give them a partner, which we would be. We're financially able, we're experienced, we know what we're doing, we can supply significant revenue for your needs in the city, for your youth sports and so forth. So, with that, I'm going to close off. I just wish that somehow I could get across. And I do have another pass out. I unfortunately didn't copy it. I'll get it into your boxes tomorrow. What else we can do to convince the city of Montclair that we are 100% into this, and if there's anything else that's needed, reach out and let me know, because I don't know what else we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, real quickly, a question to the city manager.
Go ahead.
The last time the speaker addressed us, and later during communication comments, the city manager gave a explanation as to the status of the issue. Before Mr. Kaufman leaves, would you please explain what you had said then, since we're here at the beginning and Mr. Kaufman's in the room, as to why we can't proceed for the time being?
Yes, I can respond. Currently, as Mr. Kaufman indicated, the ordinance in place in the city of Montclair is one that makes the commercial sale of cannabis illegal in the city. The city has not amended that ordinance. I understand that there was an advisory opinion that went to the voters. The voters did approve or recommended to the city council the approval of commercial cannabis activity in the city. However, that is an advisory opinion. The council is not bound by that. The voters also approved a tax measure if the city council decided to go down the road of legalizing commercial cannabis activity in the city. City staff is in the process of developing a ordinance to bring before the city council that would legalize commercial cannabis activity in the city. We will bring it to the city council when we are complete with that process, not before that. There was contact under my direction with the operator of the business in question, simply to inform them that commercial cannabis activity is not legal in the city of Montclair right now, so that if they were anticipating entering into a lease agreement related to operating a business, it would not be permitted in the city of Montclair, and it would continue to remain that until the council makes the decision one way or the other if they choose to legalize commercial cannabis activity in the city.
Thank you for the explanation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Andrea.
Okay. Next is Herman Jansen.
Mayor,
Hello.
City Council, my name is Herman Jansen with Cornwall Banker. I'm representing Mr. Kaufman and Pharmacy Plus. I'm just a commercial consultant. The rest is pro bono work for me because I strongly believe in his business concept. I've known Bill now for quite some time, and I've known him as a man of integrity, and he stands by his word. And we have, and City Manager, thank you so much for the clarification, greatly appreciated. That sheds some light on the process. And we did secure the lease. It's not signed, it's not executed, so we just had to wait until we have the proper guidance from the city of Montclair. Having said that, it's a prime location. It's a really good opportunity to have this type of business in a secure location away from schools, and would meet all state guidelines that have been laid out for this process. And well, it's an opportunity that will go away at some point because Sioux City will not hold this for us for a long time. I think we have until October 15, I believe, and then that will go away. So, like I said, I'm a strong believer in this type of business. I'm a strong supporter of local businesses, and I have been for the last 20 years, not just in Claremont, where I reside and have my business. For Coldwell Banker, it's not my own. But so, and I'm, like I said, the by financial benefits that will be derived from this type of business are quite significant. And would love to see the city of Montclair take advantage of it. Like I said, I have no personal stake or financial stake in the company. I'm just doing this pro bono, actually, because I'm a supporter. All right, thank you so much, and we'll hope to hear positive news in the near future. Thank you so much.
I would like to add that part of the approval process for a ordinance related to commercial cannabis activity would be for the council to determine zoning-related requirements where they would allow these businesses to operate. There is no guarantee that it would be allowed to operate at the subject business. So any individual who is contemplating acquiring a commercial cannabis activity license would have to go through a vetting process with the city. And once they pass that vetting process, then they would have to comply with all of the requirements of the regulating ordinance as well as the zoning requirements. And entering into a lease prior to the city council making a determination where these businesses could go would certainly be premature. And I would advise against it because there would be an investment of capital that would otherwise possibly not produce results for any person entering into a pre-agreement.
Yeah, I would advise that if you have any questions, put in writing, and maybe your other council can respond to you. Obviously, there's a policy matter, which I think Mr. Starr is talking more about the policy matter, which hasn't come to this board yet, this council yet. Well, it has come to pass for some discussion. And then there's a current legal matter, which, in this case, in Montclair, of marijuana dispensaries is an illegal activity. But again, I would suggest you put something in writing, and then we can at least give you a response in writing to better answer your questions. Go ahead.
All right, our last speaker is Kiara Valdez.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mayor Dutre and the members of the council. It is a pleasure to be here on the behalf of the parents who volunteer for Safe Routes to School, Ontario and Montclair community. We appreciate the work that the city has been doing in order to keep the community safe such as the implementation of flashing stop signs to make them more visible to drivers and the repairs and constructions of sidewalks around the schools in Montclair. We hope that this will encourage the community to adopt active means of transportation to get to school, such as walking and biking. For 13 years, we have followed the work that you all have done, and we admire how you care about the welfare and safety of your citizens. An example, one of these instances is when you all signed the law prohibiting the use of electronic devices while walking through the crosswalks. We hope that sooner or later, other cities will adopt these laws. As mentioned earlier, we appreciate the work you're doing, and we understand that we need everyone to participate in creating a safe community. Our group of parent volunteers have been collaborating with different institutions in order to share more information regarding driver and pedestrian education. We realize that despite the amount of loss in traffic signs, the amount of injuries and deaths among pedestrians continue to increase. Among those who have been killed or injured are children and the elderly, the most vulnerable members of our community. For this reason, we humbly request the assistance of traffic police near schools during the start and end hours of school. Unfortunately, some drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians do not follow any of the laws and regulations placed, and as a result, cause tragedies that change the lives of many within seconds. We have noticed that the presence of law enforcement drastically changes the behavior in people, especially in traffic. We also believe that more strict action is necessary to those who break these laws. Once again, on the behalf of parents, students, and the community, we appreciate and thank you all for the work you've been doing by prioritizing the well-being and safety of your citizens. Thank you and good night.
Well, thank you very much, and obviously our students, our children in this community are very important to us. We're going to do the best job we can out there. I know with our law enforcement, as best as we can. They're a little stretched right now, but you know, we are putting the investment in this community. One of the challenges we have, I know I'm talking here without the Brown Act. One of the challenges we have here is we have a much older infrastructure. The city. Much of the city was built. A lot of the schools were built back in the 50s and 60s, and so things were a little different back then, and how children went to school and came home from school, and compared to today. But thank you very much for being here and recognizing some of the things we've done. Councilmember Rue.
Yes, just a comment. For you deal with parents probably much more than I do. I live very near El Camino Elementary School, the school I attended growing up. And one thing I noticed that seems to be on the rise are the numbers of parents who permit their children to enter and exit street side. Please emphasize curbside. I see them on 5th Street, right at Benson, double parked. The children are exiting street side, and they shouldn't be double parked, but it frightens me because curbside, at least they're on a sidewalk. Street side, anything can happen, even the most careful driver. So just when you meet with your the other parents, just kind of emphasize that because it can be very scary for a driver. Thank you.
You have some signs there? You have your children present, slow down. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Andrea.
That was all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move off the public comment. We'll go down to the consent calendar. As I said before, we're going to pull item B2, and we'll put that under the pool consent calendar item. Any other items to be questions answered? Anybody in my right here?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, C Charlie number 1,
C1,
number 3,
3.
D David number 2, and C3 and D2 are just one question each.
Okay. All right, anybody on my left? No? Nobody on my left? Okay, then let's go with C1.
This is the item regarding entering into a contract with Christian Development Center to provide case management services for the city's homeless outreach and assistance program. On page 20 of our agenda, which is the fiscal impact and recommendation section of the staff report, question regarding the funding. $60,000 for 12 months is to, lost my note here. That the 60,000 is coming out of, refresh my memory, Mr. City Manager, while I try to find it.
3,300 from the grant, and the balance would come out of the general fund, approximately $56,700 from the general fund.
So 3,300 from the grant, 56,700 from the city general fund. Okay.
Yeah. This is about reverse the way it was this year, because the grant is simply running out right now.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if the additional grant, the way I misunderstood it, obviously, based on your answer, was that there was 60,000 to be given, and then an additional, well, amounts to 60,000. So I was wondering where those other streams of revenue were coming from, but they are not coming from, because I misunderstood. So you answered my question for clarification. Just a general comment. Thank you to Pastor Donald and Ethel Rucker for continuing their investment into this city by providing services to those in dire situations and those in need. The Ruckers, as you know, have been ingrained in the fabric and bedrock of this community for well over 20, 25 years, giving back and investing. So it's great to see that we're going to re-enter into a contract with them to help code enforcement and our efforts to try to address those actually facing a variety of needs, among them primarily being housing. So thank you for that, staff, for bringing this forward. That's my only question, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else has any questions or comments? Ed, I talked to you about this, and I have no problems with the services being provided. And I know the funds, from the general funds coming from that homeless budget that we created. The only question I had was, I don't see any reporting requirements, like a weekly reports, monthly reports, and activities. What I'd like to do is make a motion, in addition to that motion, amend it somewhat, where you, as a city manager, will come up with the requirements for reporting reports.
Yes, I will make certain that the metrics are made available as part of a report. If you do look at Exhibit A attached to the agreement, however, that does list all of the requirements and responsibilities of the vendor. They are complying with these requirements, but we will make certain that there is a regular report.
Report that the staff sees, signs off on, make sure it's accurate, make sure there's activity going on, and I appreciate that. So that'll be part of, let's just say, part of the amendment of the motion is to give the city manager the authority to create.
Just for accountability and accounting purposes?
Yeah,
Mr.
for
Mayor?
accountability,
Okay.
accounting
No, I agree with
purposes.
that.
And then a year from now, I'll come back to us again, and then maybe when it comes back to us, we'll have a better idea of what level of service was provided in the last 1 year and what they did in the last 1 year, perhaps.
I will concur.
So, okay, so the next item here is C3.
I believe that is regarding the Public Works Department and the random drug testing, correct? Yes. Question. I know this is just Public Works staff and those behind the wheel in city vehicles. In reading the staff report on a separate issue in the packet regarding the police lateral issue and the hiring of police officers, it stated in that report that the admission of a potential police officer's use of marijuana is no longer a strike against them in their employment. So that being said, being that the use of marijuana, and Bill Kaufman leaves the room again, the use of marijuana is becoming more acceptable and legalized throughout jurisdictions. And because of state law allowing for its consumption and use, the drug testing of our employees, should they have any marijuana in their system, let's say they smoked it the night before while they're home, there's not going to be a ding against them if their drug test comes out showing they have traces of it, let's say today. Let's say they smoked it Sunday night, but they're tested today, but they didn't use any during the course of their employment today. Can you just clarify that and give me some assurances that that won't negatively affect them?
The issue of consumption of cannabis and how it relates to the workplace is a dynamic issue. It's evolving. Legislation is moving forward at the state level, but presently, the response to your question is no. There are no protections to an individual if they are randomly selected and it is determined that they have cannabis in their system. Even if they argue that they have a medical use authorization, it does not necessarily preclude them from being terminated. It is possible that the city could enter into a last chance agreement with them if there is a valid reason for entering into that sort of agreement. But right now, the city is in the driver's seat as it relates to making a determination as to the fate of that employee. These rules do not necessarily carry over to public safety.
Right.
There are different laws and restrictions on agencies related to random testing for public safety personnel, so we would not necessarily have that opportunity to make those determinations. But for other employees in the organization that are operating large vehicles that are regulated by the Department of Transportation, if a random testing did make that determination, that employee is not necessarily protected.
Thank you for the answer, and I do want to state that I am in no way either insinuating that staff is somehow using marijuana in great quantities or not. I'm just brought that up as a scenario in the event that there was a staff member that happened to have it in their system from prior use unrelated to their employment. But thank you for the clarification. That being said then, to anyone that's employed in a government agency that uses marijuana, just be careful with your usage so it doesn't show up in your drug test while you're employed. So anyhow, thank you.
I believe the item again in question is to enter an agreement with Mobile Screening Solutions to conduct both alcohol and drug testing.
I had a similar question. What about
ahead.
alcohol? An employee is home, let's say on a Sunday night. They are drinking a lot late at night. They come to work the next day and they're randomly selected and it's alcohol. How is that treated?
If the alcohol is detected in their system and it is above or at or above the requirements under law that would indicate that they are intoxicated, then they would be subject to termination. Alcohol dissipates out of the system much quicker, obviously, than cannabis does, and it's very likely that a person who drank over the weekend and then came to work on Monday probably would not have detectable amounts in their system. But if it were a late night drinking into like 3 o'clock in the morning and they came into work at 7 o'clock, yes, if we did a random testing that morning, we would be detecting alcohol in their system and they would be subject to termination.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we also have item D1.
D2, Mr. Mayor.
D2.
Just real quickly, regarding the property 9729 Ramona that the city has recently purchased and is to be deemed surplus property and then handed over to the Montclair Housing Corporation. I do have a resident on the street who wanted to simply ask this question, and I told him I would do it on their behalf. Can anyone that qualifies for Section 8 apply to rent this particular residence and be in the mix for consideration for occupancy through the Montclair Housing Corporation?
By the council's approval of the affordable housing agreement this evening, should the council make that decision, then anybody of low or moderate income would be eligible to apply for renting this particular unit.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so can we get a motion in on these items, exception item B2 for approval?
Motion for the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
We got a move by Councilmember Ruse, second by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. And as I noted earlier, there was some modifications on item C1, granting the city manager authority to provide reporting requirements and other criteria for this contract. So with that, let's take a electronic vote. Here we are, adopt a 5-0. Okay, now, we're going to go to item B2. This is to consider this temporary 18-month hiring bonus for the police department. And I think City Clerk, you say you had a written comment submitted? Okay, well, let's start with a written comment then. And anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak on this item, this would be an opportunity for members of the public to speak as well. You'll have 5 minutes. Go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, this comment is from Bruce Culp. First, I would like to say that I support providing bonuses to incentivize and attract good police officers. As I look through the staff comments on the reasoning behind this incentive program, it appears that nationwide there's a shortage of applicants for police officers in recent years, as well as experienced officers quitting or retiring. There's mention of not wanting to comply with health orders or that defund the police mantra, which is basically holding bad police officers accountable for their actions as reasons for a police shortage. So it seems to me that if it's the case, then it sounds to me like bad police officers are quitting and bad applicants no longer want to apply because they will be held accountable for their actions. So I'm hoping what's left are the good cops and applicants who want to protect and serve the entire community. However, these bonuses need to be paid half when they join the police and then the other half after 5 years to ensure that they meet the high standards expected of them and that they have no negative issues related to their police work that puts the community in jeopardy. They must abide by all health guidelines and not commit any crimes themselves in order to receive the entire bonus. Also, we should provide bonuses to other departments. Human resources has shortages. We've lost engineering staff as well as good public works staff. IT always has a need as well. Why do we only offer bonuses to police when other city staff are just as important? We need to retain all great city staff. And that's the end of that comment.
Thank you. Anybody else? That's it? All right. Okay, so the item before us, obviously there's a staff report that's very well detailed on this item, and so I'm going to ask my council colleagues if they have any questions for staff or comments at this time. This will be an opportunity to do that. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, all right, Councilmember Lopez. We'll start with Councilmember Lopez.
Let me just find my page. All righty. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for bringing this forward. Of course, obviously, we as council had a discussion about this. This is a very thorough, a 16-page, I believe, report that contains a lot of valuable information regarding the need for us implementing a bonus incentive program. I want folks out there who may be hesitant, or if anyone has any reservations as to why, at least based on this proposal, we're going to be offering a $30,000 lateral bonus for officers or law enforcement individuals from other agencies to basically shift over to us in the Montclair Police Department. And that is because at present, we have a total of 15 hard vacancies. That is not including 7 other vacancies by virtue of individuals being hurt or taking family leave time, maternity leave or whatnot. So I'm not going to include those 7, because once those individuals have either gotten better or addressed their family needs, they will return to us. But with respect to the 15 vacancies, there is a dire need to fill those here in the city. And one way to quickly do that is to offer incentives to hopefully incentivize other officers that may be with other bordering cities or some cities that may be 15, 20 miles away, some even longer, may want to come and invest their time and continue their career here within the city borders. I asked the city manager for some information, and he provided it to me, that for just new officers, not laterals that are within the law enforcement line of work, for new officers, the city expends $198,538 per new police officer. And that includes a whole variety of things from training to background checks, uniforms, you name it, the academy. I did a little bit of math. If we take that figure, 198,538, times it by the 15 hard vacancies that we have, that amounts to 2.9 million, basically $2,978,070. If we take those, that's what we would spend if we hired new officers. If those 15 positions were filled with a $30,000 incentive bonus to come over, the savings exceeds well over $2 million. Now, colleagues, if I have my figures correct, I'm just going back 5 years. In 2018, Montclair had 3 officers that we lost to lateral positions in other agencies. 2018, there were 3. 2019, 1. 2020, 6. 2021, 1. 2022, 2. That's 13 individuals we lost that we paid for. And at the time, I believe what we were incurring was $170,000. So for those 13 individuals, we spent $2.2 million of our money on their training and background checks and whatnot, uniforms to get them going here in the city of Montclair, and they left us. My concern is that $30,000, and before colleagues you take gasp, $30,000 perhaps may not be adequate enough. If we were to go at a price tag, let's just say $65,000 times the 15 hard vacancies, I have that at $975,000 to fill the 15 vacancies. That would still be a savings to us. If we deduct that from the $2.9 million, we would save $2,003,070, even at a $65,000 incentive bonus. Of course, we would save more at the $30,000 rate. But knowing that we're paying $198,538 per new officer, and we could save that by offering $65,000, we are saving $133,000 per officer because they already are coming with their background checks, their training, you name it. The only thing that we would probably have to expend is, of course, refitting them with our uniforms. So I'm in favor of this. I know that there is a provision in here that the program can be ended sooner if we fill those vacancies. The city manager can terminate the program. My only caveat with respect to that issue is I wouldn't want the program terminated early enough, because let's just say we're at the 14th position being filled and the 15th individual is coming on board. And rather than saying we have the vacancies full, let's end the program, I think we need to wait at least 6 to 8 months to make sure that an individual makes it through at least some period of the probationary period before we pull the plug on the program. So, trying to see if I covered all my notes here. On page 10 of our staff report regarding the loss of experienced police personnel, I'm quoting the report, says the obvious concern is that less qualified recruits take their place, giving rise to concerns related to the quality of policing provided. This predicament is exacerbated by the fact that it can be approximately 18 months from recruitment to end of training to transform an inexperienced recruit into a rookie police officer capable of responding to 911 service calls on their own, and I'm adding in on their own. Unfortunately, Montclair has lost just recently, I believe, 6 individuals for a variety of reasons, but nonetheless, we've lost individuals quite recently to other agencies, and we've made an investment in them of $198,000. So every time we have a new hire, they stay with us for a period of time, and based upon what I was given from city manager, the average length of individual stays with us is 4 years. They don't even meet the 5-year requirement to be vested with us. Obviously, I'd like to see longevity be increased. Unfortunately, gone are the days where officers would stay with us. This would be their first agency, and this would be their last agency. They'd retire out of here. Those days are gone, unfortunately. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I just would hope that, and I know one colleague may disagree, but I hope that we could revisit this issue if it's working, and if we find ourselves in this situation again where we are low on staffing police, then we could do this again. Now, one comment that is made from some individuals in communities regarding the police issue is that police and fire individuals tend to be greedy with their pay, and I have never come to that persuasion. I just don't believe it. I think that's a cop-out, no pun intended. Because a lot of the individuals that have to work overtime will do so because they're asked to, but they would much rather be at times with their family and kids or just having some personal downtime on their own, and they're entitled to that. It's an issue of burnout, where the money is just no longer enticing. Burnout seriously kills them, and there's no amount of money that can alleviate the burnout. And I think this helps address that by bringing in some staff, increasing our staffing levels, so that way we address the issue of overtime and lessening it and the burnout issue. I agree with this proposal. I would like to see the amount increased, however, because even if it is increased, we are still at a net savings, colleagues, considering what we're spending per individual as a new hire. It is a much more cost-effective approach to try to beef up our ranks for the need that we have at the moment. I just would like that there'd be assurance that we would get some grace period, if you will, once the 15th or whatever the number of positions need to be filled are filled, that we don't terminate the program immediately, that we keep it open in the event that they do not survive, if you will, or are not with us in relatively longer period of time. And also, I would like to see, since it's us discussing this issue right now, I would like for the issue to be brought to us with respect to issues of termination, not, as it states in the report, not just the city manager and the personnel committee, but that it comes to us for final approval, because ultimately, residents will always hold us accountable with respect to the police needs, to the community needs, and either in their perception, lack of policing, their perception, lack of calls. We all heard it. There's been accusations that they don't come fast enough, calls take longer, and of course I feel that that's not accurate, but to them, perception is reality, and we all need to be respectful of their perception at the same time. But anyhow, I would entertain my colleagues' input and comments on this, but those are, for the time being, those are my 2 cents on the issue.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, some years ago when I became a council person, I was quite disappointed to hear that there were 7 vacancies on the police department. And there was some discussion about how there was not enough funding, et cetera. And I was delighted when this council fully funded every single one of those positions. But it doesn't do us much good to fund the positions if we don't have the bodies in them. And rather than having more officers come, the amount of vacancies have more than doubled, which is kind of disappointing. So we have long-standing ways of how we do things, but right now that hasn't been working. And so we have to do something different in order to entice lateral officers to come to our city. And as I'm looking at the staff report on pages 11 and 12 that indicate that the cities that touch us also have bonus programs, but their bonuses are lower than ours, and I think it's good that ours are higher because then we can get officers here. We have to get officers here. So how many times have all of us heard that a resident needed an officer that didn't come fast enough? Somebody at school wanted an officer sitting outside, but there wasn't enough. There was some event that needed officers, but there weren't enough. And quite frankly, I have grown weary of hearing there's not enough. We need to have our police department fully filled, and whatever it takes for us to do that, we need to do it because our residents deserve that. All of us as Montclair residents deserve to have a fully staffed police department. That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rue.
Yes. Although I see the need for this program, and I'm not going to be against it right now, I see long-term what's going to happen. We're at 30,000. So another agency says, well, we'll sweeten the pot and make it 40. So now we have to up ours to 40. Another agency says, well, we'll make ours 50. So now we have to bring it up to 50. It'll be a ratcheting up of this. How high do we go? If it gets to $100,000, do we say enough? Or, oh no, they're offering 110. We have to offer 120. That's the concern I have long term. That we need to really make certain that we're watching this. And maybe we can't compete with everybody around us. That's just the way things are. I see an 18-month implementing a temporary 18-month program. I agree that it should be temporary. And I'd like personally to see a hard sunset at 18 months, and we review the program and see if it's working. See what the results are. Then if we decide we still need it, continue it for another 18 months. I'm concerned, as I've said, long-term about financial solvency. And it's only a matter of time before other employee groups start to see this. Other cities will experience this. Many cities across this state and across this country are struggling to find a lot of positions. Just can't fill them. You have a generation, and I will say unfortunately, that uses the excuse of work-life balance. It's an excuse. They don't want to work Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but they want to be able to go to restaurants, bars, nightclubs, entertainment venues, and have somebody serving them. It's a generation, and I'm not indicting every one of them. Certainly my nieces and my nephew are part of that, and they work very, very hard. They love their jobs. We have a generation that if you said to them, you'll spend 80% of your time at Disneyland and 20% working, they do it. Tell them it's the other way around and they'll fuss. At some point, we all have to grow up. Honest, we have to grow up. But as far as this program is concerned, I support it, but I do want to see a hard sunset at 18 months, and I want to understand fully that it's 30,000 for 18 months. I don't want to see in 6 months from now, city A, B, and C are offering 50. Oh, we need to offer 50. And you know, I respect my colleague's point of view, but if we start at 65, everybody else will move it up to 75. A lot of cities around us have a whole lot more revenue than we do. Long-term, there are solutions. I won't bring it up tonight, but there are solutions across the country. Many law enforcement agencies or public safety entities are combining. They're either going to some type of a county system or a regional system, something of that sort, because the costs are there and they're expensive. But I will support this, but I really want us to see a hard sunset at 18 months, bringing back data that specifically says what has happened, what has transpired, and the costs. And I don't know what's going to happen in 18 months. If we're offering 30, and 6 months down the road, somebody else offers 50. Are we going to raise ours to 50 then? So those are some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you. Well, I certainly resent some of those remarks. You know, I wouldn't consider myself fussy, and while I don't disagree with some of the comments made, I do disagree with the tone, Councilmember Rue. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting a work-life balance. If we are going to have happy and qualified employees, we need to be competitive. We need to offer what the market is offering. That's just what the economy is and has always been. You know, 18 months is a great start. We can see what happens after that, and if it's something that works out, absolutely we can discuss whether that's something that's necessary for the other departments. I do agree with Bruce Kolb's comments. I would love to see all of our departments staffed, but certainly, you know, this is what the market is calling for right now for police, and you know, I'm very happy that we are considering this as an option. you know, it's not groundbreaking. We are just simply doing what we must to stay afloat with the economy. And, you know, I'm happy that we're doing that rather than digging in our heels and seeing what happens, because that is not the way that we are going to stay competitive. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think you all made valid points. Obviously, there's a need for us to hire police officers in Montclair. It's an issue that every agency is dealing with. Police agencies, of course, there's an economy out there called the Great Resignation. So there, as you know, the unemployment levels are very low. So there's still a great need to hire employees in our country. I think the bonus program hopefully is a tool that's going to help us. There are risks involved. I think Councilmember Rue raised some of the risk issues that could happen. This is why this is a pilot project, to see how it goes. I appreciate staff's recommendation here. I think you made some strong analysis on how to develop this program and try to mitigate the risks, and with the hope that we can hire qualified and motivated people who want to be police officers, not necessarily want to come here and get a paycheck. One of the things I want to say of this is that, two things I want to say real fast. I'm going to think about the people of Montclair first, and there's something called Measure L. The voters of the city gave us Measure L, the sales tax enhancement. And of course, part of that went into hiring these 7 additional, funding the 7 police positions, as you recall. And of course, the idea is to make sure that we have enough, I call it, troops on the streets of Montclair: police, fire, public works, code enforcement, for example. Second of all, I want to say this is the men and women in the police department are doing a great job. And, they are. You call 911 or dispatch, you will have a police officer respond. Doesn't mean they'll respond immediately, depends on the priority calls and everything else, but your call will get responded to. Second of all, I want to say this, is that basically the shifts for the officers on the streets, the patrol division, those shifts are normally all filled up, even with office shortages. I know there's a lot of police officers and sergeants who are working overtime. I think some of the captains and lieutenants are probably coming out and working. I assume some of the cover some command staff too. But there's a lot of people who are putting the extra time in and making sure those patrol shifts are covered. Deficiencies are in traffic. You know, we don't really have a traffic unit right now. Obviously, we had an audience earlier. Our suppression units is lacking. I think we're currently using overtime pay, if I'm correct, Chief, to deal with some of the suppression units. So again, officers are working extra to deal with suppression. I believe our detective bureau might be a little, there might be a couple spots down on the detective bureau that to be filled. But I want to reassure the public is that you call 911, a police officer will respond. Doesn't matter what type of call it is, they will come out. Sooner or later, they will be there. And then our patrol divisions are covered out there. I want to make that loud and clear. Question of the city manager. On the third recommendation here, I just want to make sure I understand this. Authorize the city manager to make adjustments and modifications to the Montclair hiring bonus incentive program and to the amount of the hiring incentive bonus on a case-by-case basis, subject to approval of the Montclair Personnel Committee to ensure success of the program. So I'm assuming this is the modification to make adjustments to the program if needed. Am I correct, Ed?
Yes, but I would recommend bringing that back to the city council, not the personnel committee.
Okay, so this to be brought back to this. So your recommendation, which is to set approval by the Montclair Personnel Committee, will be approval by the Montclair City Council.
Yes, any and all changes to the program, yes.
City Council, okay. All right, if I will support that. I suspect the entire City Council will support that. So that's all I have. Councilmember Lopez, and you have anything else?
Yeah, quick question. I made a notation on page 14 of the staff report, or the agenda rather. My question is this: what happens to the bonus if we as a council make cuts to personnel? Is the officer in question to basically suffer at no fault of their own? Let's just say we have an officer that has come in, they got the initial disbursement of 10,000. After the first year, correct me if I'm wrong, or is it 18 months? However, the first time period, we are hit with financial strains economically. We have to tighten the belt. Let's say we temporarily halt the program. Those officers that are in the middle in the course of it, and we have to make cuts to personnel, what would happen to those individuals? Are they going to bear the brunt of any staffing cuts and therefore lose the bonus?
Layoffs would have to follow the procedures outlined in the respective MOUs. In this particular case, for members of the Montclair Police Officers Association, there are two components. One would be seniority, and the other would be the quality of their performance based on written performance evaluations. Those would have to be taken into consideration, and the city would have to meet and confer with the bargaining group to further discuss the layoff procedures. So if these individuals that you've spoken of were the last individuals in, yes, it is very likely that they would take the impact of layoff procedures.
The issue regarding seniority, it's not like the fire department where there's no laterals in fire. An officer will keep their seniority as they're lateraled over, correct?
No, that's not provided for in the MOUs.
Okay.
The only way that they would have seniority is if they were a former employee of the city of Montclair. They came
accumulated.
back to us, and then there is, in some circumstances, particularly if it's within a year of their departure, they would be eligible to maintain seniority.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with your comments that the police department is definitely doing a very good job. I think they're doing more with less. I have been impressed with the degree of response time and basically, I don't want to say working magic, but doing miracles with just the staffing that they have. They are to be commended and appreciated, every single man and woman in the department. I do want to just address a question that may have been rhetorically stated because of my comments. The comment regarding, are we going to raise our bonus incentive to 50,000, 60,000 if cities around us request it? As tough as that is, I would be in favor of doing so, knowing, again, that we're spending $198,000 on just new hires that we tend to lose in a 2-year period or so. We lose that investment we put into them. They basically take that training with them to another department. And in the past 5 years, we've lost 13 individuals to that very dynamic where they've taken the value that we've invested in them with them to another agency. And I believe the 9-year period before that, if I have my stats correct, we've lost 24 to laterals from 2008 to 2017. Yeah, we've had 24 laterals that we've lost. Again, at a lesser expense of $170,000 per individual that we've lost. So we're hemorrhaging money as it is. And I think this would be a good investment. I honestly would like to see it higher because I think, one, officers that are looking to leave their departments for whatever reason would probably come here in a heartbeat even faster. And maybe we'd fill these vacancies in 6 months or 3 months as opposed to 18. So yeah, I am willing to go along with this. I'd like to see it increased. And I'd be in favor of a hard sunset. I agree with the mayor's comments. And I am glad that the city manager is willing to bring any changes and the issue of its continuation or termination back to council as opposed to as opposed to the personnel committee. So, thank you.
So is that a motion report, Dan?
I'll move the report as presented. Yes, I'll move the
So
report
three
as presented.
recommendations, including the recommendation number 3, subject to approval of the Montclair City Council to ensure success of the program.
Yes, with that change, Mr. Mayor.
Perfect, then. Got a second?
I'll second.
Martinez.
You sure you want to give it to her? All right, we'll give it to Martinez. All right. With that, let's do electronic vote. And that's adopted 5-0. Thank you. Again, a good job on staff on this, putting this together. I know a whole lot of brainstorming went into it. And again, please tell the police staff, their chief, they're doing a great job. We understand, the challenges, and hopefully this will help. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. Okay, so now we're going to do communications, and I'm going to start with department reports. We'll begin with Human Services. Marcia.
Great, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention a few items. We will be, we started our youth volleyball registration today. It'll take place Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 7 p.m. And registrations will go through Friday, August 25th. This is for girls and boys in the 5th to 8th grade or born between 2010 and 2013. Registration is taking place at our Recreation Center building. Our Montclair Youth Center, MYC, will be open Monday through Friday, beginning this Wednesday, August 9th, when school starts. You can beat the heat in August and receive free ice cream while supply lasts. MYC is a free program for all youth in grades 7 through 12 who live in Montclair or attend a school in Montclair during the 2023-24 school year. MYC is open from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And on Tuesdays, due to the school's minimum day, will be open from 12:30 to 6 p.m. Our Montclair After School program, MAP, also begins on Wednesday, August 9th. Register at the City of Montclair website under the Montclair After School program, or you can visit the school office for an application. This program is at no cost, and it's in partnership with the Ontario Montclair School District. This year also, the Transitional Kindergarten, TK, will have an opportunity to attend the MAP program and participate in that. And I also just wanted to mention our upcoming food distributions next week on Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30. Thursday, the 17th, in the Community Center. And then we'll have Feeding America in the Recreation Center courtyard. Will take place the following week, Wednesday, August 23rd, from 9 until 11. And as usual, it's first come, first served for those distributions. And that concludes my announcements.
Well, thank you. And then we have the Police Department National Night Out, and if you want to say something about the last item, feel free to, if you want to add on to it. It's up to you. Not required.
Yes, as it pertains to the last item, I'm speaking on behalf of the entire police department. Thank you, City Manager Starr, for your efforts on that matter as well. We're super appreciative, super excited. We believe that this will be a triggering event for enticing people to come over and come work here and get some experienced officers. And don't forget even putting some people in the academy as well, which we know it'll do both things. So again, I thank you all for your unwavering support in that matter. Our officers, they gave unwavering support to the profession through all of the good times and the bad. And although some of those events may have affected people wanting to become police officers, it didn't affect our officers, and continue to do their jobs, follow protocols, come to work every day, no matter what the turmoil that may have been occurring in the community. So we do thank you for that. And that segues a little bit into this event. I want to talk a little bit about recruitment from National Night Out as well. So on Tuesday, August, as we all know, National Night Out occurred on August 1st. So the police department hosted National Night Out at Alma Hoffman Park. It's an annual event designed to promote public safety community partnerships and increase awareness of local program services and other anti-crime efforts. Approximately 400 community members came out for the event. We believe that's the minimum number that came out. That's the account of one of the booths received 400 people that came by. So we believe it's much more than that, especially including the little ones out there. They had the opportunity to interact with our public safety employees, visit booths set up by local government and nonprofit organizations as well. We all saw Congresswoman Norma Torres and Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez, who presented certificates to the city and the police department. And in conjunction with this night, we also had an American Red Cross blood drive at the community center, collected 16 units of blood from donors. And we thank the city employees and members of the public who donated. Denise, I know you were one of them as well. We were talking about that. So Special thanks go out to all that helped make the event a success, including Code Blue Photo, Sweet Snowy, Rico's Tacos La Tortilleria, Starbucks, and I-10 Towing, who actually brought out some character. I'm missing that word right now. Artists, along with the fire department, public works, IT, human services department, and police department personnel. We had a great time at this event. Our officers and our staff, our explorers and our cadets met many members of the community, not just the little children, which we really enjoy taking pictures with them, but also the parents and members of the community came by and spoke with us, thanking us, but also bringing up issues, which is what it is for. You know, hey, what's going on in this neighborhood? The other day there was officers at a certain location. What was going on? What's your response times? Those types of questions. We also believe that it's never too early to start recruiting. Some of those very young children there, I think they remember events like this, taking pictures in police cars, and talking to officers, and maybe they'll become members of Montclair long after we're all retired and gone. You know, it reminds me of a recent, a father approached me recently, showed me a picture of his little son in the back of a police car at an event to take pictures, not in the back of a police car because he was in trouble. But it was a neighboring city where he grew up, and the impact on that event, he is a police officer today. He's actually one of our police detectives, and he's one of the best detectives I've ever met. So again, these events do work, and no matter what the profession is, I believe it's never too early to start forming that bond with the community. So we have some very, I think you probably noticed there's more officers at the event than we've ever had before, both those assigned to work and also those who work in patrol came by. Some officers brought their family members with them that could attend. So our officers are happy officers. They're our best recruiters right now. They're getting the word out there, and tonight's approval of that item will no doubt, we believe that we already have some people that will show some positive results on that.
Great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City Attorney.
Yes, well, that's a kind of a tough act to follow. I have one item on the agenda. Although there are two listed, we're pulling the labor negotiations for tonight. So I'm just asking the council to meet in closed session regarding the pending litigation regarding the matter mentioned, Godoy versus Montclair.
Okay, thank you.
Other than that, that's it.
No items.
First of all, I want to adjourn this meeting for two individuals. The first individual, well, not two individuals. First of all, I want to adjourn this meeting for the incident that took place yesterday with CAL FIRE, the helicopter. Two employees of CAL FIRE and then one contract pilot perished in that event, and let's adjourn in memory of them. Second of all, I'd like to adjourn the memory of a longtime Montclair resident, Nick Lewis. He was a Montclair resident since 1962. He passed away recently at the age of 96. He was a World War II and a Korean War veteran, member of the United States Navy. So I got the information to the city clerk's office regarding Nick. I want to say the stop signs, I'm not sure where Monica's at, but that's getting a lot of attention in the community, on social media especially. I think most of us are on social media. And it's been a lot of good positive response on the blinking stop signs. So Monica, I know the contract is ended, but there's more signs to go up based on grants, and one's going to be in the corner of Fremont and Orchard, since residents bug me about it. I just want to recognize just two significant events here in the month of August. One is, of course, VJ Day. It's Victory in Japan Day on August 14, speaking of World War II, and in this case, Navy veteran. And then on August 26, it's Women's Equality Day. So just want to recognize that. And that's all I have, so I'll start with Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you. Just one small thing. So I'm sure our residents are noticing that the trash bills are going up just a little bit. The city of Montclair does offer some relief to seniors. So if you're over 65, you may want to look into applying for discounts for your trash services. That's all. Thank you.
Before I go, just want to recognize, I know last meeting we had some folks show up. First of all, I appreciate the Brook Street issue. There's a report here. Appreciate that report there. I have been driving there. Seems pretty clean right now compared to another section of town I'm driving through. And then also there was a resident regarding the fruit, not the fruit park, the garden park, and got a memo here today from staff as well. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have three announcements, but before I go there, I'd like some assistance from staff. I'm wondering if we can get a verbal update tonight on what's happening with our parks, Saratoga, Sunset, and Alma Hoffman.
Sir, an update on?
What are the improvements that are coming? When are they coming? When should we expect them, et cetera?
Well, we're still waiting for the final completion of the Parks Master Plan that will be coming before the City Council. And as far as Saratoga Park, we currently are in design with LD King for Sunset Park. We are far along in the process, and our Public Works Department has completed the necessary requirements related to meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers and securing the necessary easements along the trail. So we will be moving forward with Sunset Park, and then the third park was Alma Hoffman Park.
Yes, sir.
I presume that you're asking about the splash pad, and unfortunately, the parts for the splash pad still are not available. Staff has ordered a totally new purification and filtration system. We have been advised that that system would be available within 4 to 6 weeks. We're probably pushing the 4-week period at this point in time. So we're obviously expecting that it's going to be 6 weeks out, if not longer. It simply is a matter of the supply chain because all of these parts depend on the microchips that have been manufactured in China, and because of the shutdown of the economy in China related to COVID-19 and its long-term impact on those chips, it's affected many sectors of the electronic industry, including this particular sector. So we are hopeful that we will have those parts in, and if the weather continues to be hot, it's our intention to open the splash pad on the weekends so that the residents of Montclair can enjoy it. But again, it all depends on when those parts are made available.
Mr. City Manager, you were correct. One of my issues was the splash pad. The other issue is the part that's needed for the playground equipment that now has a board on it. And then my third issue was Alma Hoffman, was when the surface was going to be replaced, because I thought it was going to be done in July.
I believe that we had indicated it would be done in August. I think that that's now being pushed into September or October. It really was a matter of the contractor scheduling his time and his crew. And as far as the equipment, the slide, I believe that that is also just a supply issue. Our Public Works Director, Monica Heredia, is here to provide some additional input.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. I want to say actually the surface or the repairs to the playground will start in 2 to 3 weeks. I don't have the exact dates. So they've been telling us different dates from the very beginning. First it was, the July, then August and September, and then we've been pressing with them to give us, like what's going on, and if it's a material issue, it's actually shortage, labor shortage. So anyways, I believe in 2 to 3 weeks, the surface will be replaced.
Okay, and I'm sorry, it was probably said and I missed it, but the playground piece where the wood is?
Yes,
do we have
we're
that
also
part?
working with the manufacturer of those repairs to be made. So I need to get an update from Alex on that as well. But
Okay, thank you. And then I had a question about Sunset Park. I probably should have driven over there to see it myself, but there was some discussion about a new restroom being put in. Did that happen, or is it coming?
It will be part of the renovation to the park. There will be 2 new restrooms. Is that what you're talking about? Sunset Park? Yes.
Isn't Sunset Park out for bid right now?
No, we, as Mr. Starr mentioned, we're still in the process of obtaining permits, but the plans are pretty much finalized, I would say, and we will be going out to bid shortly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we already gave the green light to go out for bid, if I'm correct. The city council did.
Yes.
Last meeting, yeah.
Yes, so we already have authorization. It's a matter of, advertising the project. So it should start construction, I would say, in the fall, maybe, assuming we get the permits. Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Councilmember Lopez.
I'm not done.
Oh, sorry. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson still.
So
You were quiet.
Yeah, there's 3 items that I need to announce. So first, I want to commend the seniors, some of the seniors, I think there were about 10 of them, who partnered with the Seroptimists for the Seroptimists Montclair Inland Valley to make blankets for foster children. And so the seniors did it in partnership, and I think at least one city staff was there. There may have been more city staff that were there. But then I need to tell you that this last weekend, the Seroptimists did a tour of the Children's Assessment Center for San Bernardino County, and they talked about the importance of the things that are given to the children after they have their forensic interview. Some of them are unceremoniously plucked from their houses, and they have only what's on their back. And they have to talk about horrific things that have happened in their household. And then they have to face being placed somewhere in a foster home or back with a different family member, but their environment's going to be different. And we knew that, and that's why the Seroptimists have been working on that. As a group, we've been doing that for some time. And on this last Saturday, we donated 210 blankets to the Children's Assessment Center. I think, almost 20 of them were made by the seniors here. And we've always known that that's important, but one of the examples that they gave us was about a 7-year-old little girl who came there some time ago with nothing but the clothes on her back. And they partnered with her, not just for the event to get her placed, but they followed her as she went from one foster home to another foster home to another foster home. And at her initial assessment, they gave her one of those blankets. So that little 7-year-old girl is now an adult who works for the Children's Assessment Center to help other children. More importantly, she has 2 little girls herself, and she still has that blanket from when she was 7 years old. So the work that the seniors did to help for us to create blankets to be donated to the assessment center was phenomenal. Please tell them it was wonderful. My understanding is that they're going to be doing it with some regularity, so kudos to them. I think one of the seniors went with us, Mary. I think she went with us. So that's one thing. And then I have a couple of chamber announcements. We do have our networking breakfast scheduled on August 10th at 8:30. It'll be at the Chino Basin Water Conservation District. Ensign Mason will be there as our speaker. And what his topic is where do my tax dollars go? So if you're wondering where your tax money is going, you can find out when you come to the breakfast on the 10th. And then one more time, I need to announce that the Night Under the Stars Taste of Montclair event is happening on October 17th. So we have several Montclair restaurants, because we need a taste of the Montclair cuisine, that are going to be there with us. What did I say? Oh, yes, August. I'm sorry, it's not October. Thank you, Councilwoman Martinez. In 10 days, let's put it like that, August 17th, in 10 days, from 6 to 8:30 at Chino Basin Water Conservation District. So we'll have a live band and lots of goodies, and Vendetta Brewery will be there serving beer, and we have wine that's been donated by Mayor Dutray and myself. And Vendetta will be pouring that as well. So it's going to be a fine event. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope all of you will attend. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilman Lopez.
Real quickly, on the issue regarding the splash pad matter, I was a little frustrated the last time I inquired about that, because the vendor was basically giving us no concrete answers. So as you stated, Ms. Aurelia, They've been telling us different days from the beginning and different reasons, paraphrasing your quote. Anyway, I don't know if the city manager or you can answer. Anyway, we can terminate this agreement with this vendor since we've basically been given the runaround?
So basically, we ordered a completely new system.
Separate entity vendor? Okay. All right.
Well, yes and no. Technically, we're still working with a different system that we're gonna implement. It'll be different from what we have. What we have is actually kind of outdated anyways, so hopefully we won't have any issues once the new system is in place.
Well, for any other needs in the future, if this particular entity submits a bid, we should keep in mind this experience as a guide for how they may act down the road. So, thank you.
I agree.
Thank you. Everyone, as has been stated, August 9th, which is just 2 days from now, school starts. So that means sidewalks and intersections will be busy again with students, elementary and I believe even high school, start the 9th as well. So intersections will be trafficked and busy. So to residents in the city who I've always warned as it is, slow down. Please look, even if you have to look a little bit down just for the little ones, please do so. I remind everyone that in 2018, we had the unfortunate situation of an 11-year-old boy being hit at the intersection of Vernon and San Bernardino at Vernon Middle School. Let's keep that young boy's memory alive by being prudent, being safe, driving safely around these students. So please, just 5 more minutes of your time isn't going to kill you, even if you're late to somewhere. Just slow it down. Lessen the lead foot on the pedal. Some traffic updates with respect to the 10 freeway, according to IEUA, or SBCTA, sorry. Construction of the I-10 express lanes is 75% complete, which should be encouraging to all those listening and watching, and also having to endure the 3.5 years of traffic detours, bumpy roads, congestion, backups, near accidents, and what have you. We're almost there. But westbound I-10 lanes approaching Euclid Avenue to Central, which is us here in Montclair, will continue to be reconfigured as early as the 5th, which was Saturday. So that's started and in the process. So be on the lookout for, perhaps at night, any lane changes with respect to striping. On the eastbound I-10 approaching Monte Vista to 4th Street, those will also be reconfigured starting today, more than likely at night. But nonetheless, going forward until completion, bear in mind westbound 10, Euclid to Central, eastbound 10 freeway, Monte Vista to 4th Street. Colleagues, as I stated at the last meeting on July 17th regarding a letter submitted by the Jewish Federation, I did send to Mayor Dutre, City Clerk Myrick, and City Manager Starr a copy of the letter dated June 29th as requested, along with a couple of resolutions that were adopted by our neighbors in Upland and Ontario on the issue. I spoke with Mr. Moss, who is the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation. Hopefully, Ms. City Manager, do you intend on, I'm sorry, Ms. City Clerk, I just gave you a promotion. Did you forward that to the remaining council members yet, or no?
I did not forward the email. You want me to just forward the email?
Sure, whatever's, so that way everyone has the letter and has the attachments.
I'll print as well.
You want a hard copy?
I'll do both.
All right. Anyhow, it's in the email, and it'll be coming forthwith to those of you that did not get it. But yes, I got the resolutions, the articles, and the basically a short synopsis of what he was requesting of us. Hopefully, we can get that agendized for next meeting. On Saturday, August 6th, I attended the Montclair High School Football Booster Club Barbecue event, the annual Family Day. It was great to see, I'd say about a couple hundred families and friends and the kids that are set to be playing starting this month for the 2023-2024 football season. Met some players in the lower ranks or divisions from freshman to the sophomore level as well. The kids are excited. And it's good to see a lot of the returning coaching staff come back, the same staff that helped get those boys to CIF, what, a year ago now, I believe it was? Or was it a year and a half already? Time goes by fast. And that was in the later part of the afternoon. And then that night, I attended a fundraiser for Cali Knights, which is one of Montclair's travel teams. And at their fundraiser, which was bingo and tacos, they had 100 families show up to support their travel team. And that's actually more than what Montclair Little League sometimes brings in. So I'm encouraged to see that independent baseball teams, for those kids that may have aged out of a certain division, they can continue playing in a travel team to enhance their skills. They have utilized, or they have had success playing other teams. I believe this is the same team that came in second place in their tournament, I believe, last month. But anyhow, they had great success. Those funds that they raise help pay for umpire fees, field fees, equipment, uniforms, and their tournament fees. So that was encouraging. Regarding the stop signs, I was also going to touch on it. I've gotten feedback from residents saying they love the fact that the poles on which they're erected are red, and it makes them a lot more visible. So thank you for doing that. Kudos to staff for going around and doing that, and whoever came up with that idea, even more kudos, even more so. But yes, the stop signs are definitely making an impact. It's bringing a lot of chatter on social media. Gotten a few texts from residents saying, thank you, this is cool. Oh my gosh, they're everywhere, which I'd rather there be everywhere instead of hardly any than what we had. Quick question. What is the status on the commercial vehicle ordinance issue?
You mean the parking
Yeah.
on the streets, yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the process of continuing to work through. We have some people out of code enforcement and recovering from medical leave, and so when we get the team back together, we'll put our noses back to the, or but good back to the grind to refine it some more, and so we can bring it back for your consideration. So
When do you possibly anticipate that coming to us?
we're hoping to get staff hopefully back in the office by the end of the month, and then we'll go revisit this with our attorney that's helping us put together it, and then bring it back maybe September, October. But October is going to be a busy month too, with the general plan and everything else coming forward too. So we'll see if we can get it on back to you guys as soon as possible.
All right, thank you for the explanation. I believe those are my items, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Before I go to Bill, I know we're getting late here, but I want to say this, the I-10 freeway, the construction there, so what's happening now is they have a change order with a contractor recently. They're going to close, there'll still be 4 lanes open, one lane will be closed on each side, and the goal is to get the heavy construction done by early next year. Doesn't mean you still have to go out and landscape and do other things, but a good portion of the heavy construction will be gone by next year, early next year. And then drivers will be a lot more comfortable driving. There'll be a lot less interference for drivers on there. I know folks some of the guys from Yucaipa here will probably be happy to hear that. So that's the goal, is to get the I-10 freeway back in order by early next year. I just want to announce that. Councilmember Lopez, are you asking for a resolution on the agenda?
Yes, I am.
I will say that, because this is what I'd like to do is just put an item on the agenda next meeting, and we can discuss it, see exactly what you're asking for. And I'll make a motion, and we just put it on the next agenda just for discussion among the council.
Second it.
You got a second? Anybody have object to that? To put it on the next agenda for discussion, give directions to staff?
Discussion, not a vote?
I'm sorry?
To discuss and not to vote on the next agenda is what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll vote next meeting what the direction is to staff.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, or what the direction is to me, or whatever the case may be. Okay, that's the order then. 5-0, we'll have on the next item. We don't need an agenda for that unless you have a copy of the letter just attached to the agenda. We don't need an agenda. I know there was last year or 2 years ago in April of 2021, I know we had a resolution that related to the Asian American. So maybe you have a copy of that in there too, and then we can have a discussion about the request from Councilmember Lopez.
For clarification, because I know believe my two colleagues to my left did not receive the email. Well, actually, Bill didn't either. I just sent it to the mayor, city clerk, and city manager, and for it to be forwarded. Once you read it, you'll understand what the request is, but it is a request to adopt a resolution coming out against anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred, so.
Thank you. And then as far as that, have nothing else. Let's go to Councilman Rue.
Thank you. I will pick up on an item Councilmember Lopez mentioned about school being back in. Yes, drivers, be careful. We in the city can only do so much. But I'll also warn parents, do your part as well. I mentioned earlier, the students where the parent exits them street side. It's dangerous. Exit curbside. The extra 5 minutes it takes you parents to exit curbside can be the difference between your child being safely in school or perhaps being hurt. Arrive at school earlier than you think. There's a lot of traffic. Just be there a little earlier. The mayor mentioned about the 3 who died in the helicopter crash over in Cabazon. I know we're all thinking about them tonight, and with these wildfires everywhere, let's all do our part as well and try to avoid going to those areas while the fires are going on. And also, don't throw any kind of incendiary from your car. I still see the few people who smoke throw cigarettes out the window. Don't do that. Excuse me. Inland Valley Daily Bulletin had an article on something which I was involved with. West End Real Estate Professionals, which is a group of people in the real estate industry, every type of aspect of the real estate industry, and I'm on the board. We recently donated $10,000 that we raised to Chaffee High School for their backpack program. There's students who, when they leave school Friday and return on Monday, they have nothing to eat. These are the students who I've been told are, in many cases, couch surfing. They stay with this one tonight, another one tomorrow. It's unacceptable in this great society we have, but it's happening. And I really commend my colleagues in that organization and all of us who raised that money, put it forward. When the hat was passed, they were there, they were generous. I was not able to attend National Night Out. It's the first one I've missed. I had some other competing issues at the time, and so I was not able to make it, and I do apologize. There are a few other things on here, but I'll keep it short. Mr. City Manager, I know that Senator Rubio's bill on the Housing Trust was not successful. I know she is planning on bringing it back. On the original bill, did we send a letter of support on that?
We've met with her offering our
Yeah,
support.
but did we send a letter of support that she could use on the floor?
I don't recall if we did or not. I'll have
Okay.
to check.
It would be nice if we could. I realize there's one that's going on here in San Bernardino County. That will be nice as well, but I think in this case, the more we belong to, the better off we'll be able to help solve a problem, and that is housing. I won't go into any more of that tonight. We, especially during summer, we see a lot of people, not a lot, many people, who have the luxury, privilege, choice, ability to work from home. Not everybody has that. In fact, if you look at our community, the vast majority of people are unable to work from home. You think of our public safety personnel, they have to be on the street. Think of those who take care of our parks, they have to be out in the parks. Think of the many, many workers who are out there in the street fixing our roads and highways. Think of those constructing the Gold Line. I see them every morning when I'm driving through about 6:30 in the morning on Arrow Highway in the Laverne area. Let's think of our healthcare workers, those who work in our hospitals. They can't work from home. You can't give somebody a tetanus shot from home. Think of our home healthcare workers who are going out and changing out oxygen. Think of all those individuals that you rely on who can't work from home. Your auto mechanic, your plumber, your air conditioning person. Let's think of them and realize that they also have some difficult situations they're working under, and appreciate them. And then finally, which I've done something I hope positive, recently I had somebody gift me some Disney books. They're essentially grade 2. It says on here level 2, and I'm assuming that's grade 2. And I have about 20 of them, and I would like to donate them to our after-school program for our young people. If they want to take them home, great. If they want to keep them here. But again, it's a Disney series, and first thing they said is, do you know anybody who'd want these? I said, yes, and if you have any more, keep them coming. Thank you.
Okay, we have meeting minutes in your agenda, and we'll now go into closed session.